Mute.
Okay. So you're going to come to a comfortable standing position towards the top of your mat. Yeah, nice. So just making sure that the feet are hip distance-ish, but again, the most important thing is that they're comfortable and they're not too close together, so you've got a nice steady base of support. Just closing your eyes. And maybe taking a few sort of deeper breaths. And really think about using that exhale to just clear a bit of space, to ground yourself. Sort of start to anchor yourself to your practice. And then taking your attention when you're ready down to the soles of your feet. Just noticing how your weight is shared between the feet. We're not looking to create balance or to create anything in particular, but just to pay attention to where your weight kind of naturally sits. And then starting to shift your weight around through the feet. It could be circles or swaying, anything at all. Try to stay tuned in to the sensations at the feet. And gradually coming back to stillness. And again, to something that's comfortable. And it could be pretty much where you came from. Or if you do want to start to shift the weight slightly more equally, then you can explore that as well. Take a moment to notice the pads of your toes. Can you feel the toes on the mat? Maybe lifting them, setting them back down a couple of times. And can you feel whether there is space between the toes? Or if they're touching? Maybe seeing if you can just create some space or a little more space. Imagine the soles of the feet almost melting into your mat. They become soft, you're not holding on, gripping the mat. So it's, again, a comfortable, broad base of support. And taking a moment from there to bring your attention up towards your knees. So notice any sensations that might be present there. And noticing if any sensation in the knee or knees is connected to any other part of the leg. Take a moment to move your knees, and maybe bending alternate or making little circles, just moving away from where you were. And again, coming back gradually, stillness. And seeing if it's possible to find a little more ease. And continuing up to bring your attention to the bowl of your pelvis. Just becoming aware, connected to that part of the body. If it helps to bring your hand to your pelvis, to your hips, and you can do that. And then when you're ready again, starting to shift the pelvis. So again, we're moving that center of balance. As the hips move, you might be aware of the way the weight is shifting through the feet again. Perhaps taking a moment to notice how the knees are feeling as you move. Make sure the knees aren't locked. As you continue to move the hips, just make sure that the jaw is relaxed. Shoulders are heavy. Arms are relaxed. If there's anywhere else that you know you hold tension, it might be that you could relax the abdominals or the glutes. Or for me, it tends to be my fingers, my hands. And again, coming back to center. As the pelvis finds stillness, just check in once more with the feet. Bit of space between the toes, bit of softness to the soles of the feet. Scanning up, just giving a little nod, a little hello to the knees before arriving back up to the pelvis, which hopefully feels comfortable, feels easy in its position, just resting gently at the top of the legs. From that gentle resting of the pelvis, spine then is able to rise with a sense of ease, maintaining its natural curves. And the jaw and the shoulders are still heavy. And as you take your next breath in, pay attention to that breath entering the body through the nose. And as you breathe out, send that breath, that energy all the way down through the body, down to and through the soles of the feet. And again, the in-breath, attention back up to that breath as it enters the body. And using your exhale to send that breath all the way down to the floor. So continuing to breathe in that way. Your breath might become a little bit slower. Maybe exploring for a few more rounds, working with a mantra. So perhaps as you inhale, I inhale energy. And as you exhale, I exhale calm. I inhale energy. And I exhale calm. If those particular words, those particular mantras don't feel comfortable for you, you can omit them completely or perhaps substitute those final words for something that feels a little more natural. Take 3 more rounds of breath like that with the mantra if you're using one. And as you finish that third exhale, just allowing your breath to be comfortable, letting go of any particular focus or effort. And then ever so slightly, I'm talking maybe 10 or 15%, just starting to engage through the abdominals, so ever so slightly hugging the lower ribs back into the body, maybe feeling that those low abdominals draw slightly in and up. And see if you can add to that a slight sense of lift through the back of the body, through the back of the spine, through the back portion of the skull, rising up towards the ceiling. Try and maintain that effort and that activity around the torso as you start to take your arms up towards the ceiling. The arms are floating up. And just keeping an eye on how much that changes what's happening in the torso. Seeing if you can come back or maintain. Again, that just light effort. Very subtle, drawing in, drawing down in the front of the body. And then lengthening at the back of the body. So don't worry too much about whether the arms are completely straight or where they are. As long as the arms are floating upwards, then trying to maintain that subtle effort through the torso. Again, that gentle lift through the back of the body. On your next breath in, shrug the shoulders up to the ears, allow the front of the body to lift, to open. And as you exhale, release one hand to your chest, one hand to your belly. Now as you breathe in, the chest is going to rise slightly into that top hand. The rib cage expanding, opening, and as you exhale, the chest softens down, the lower ribs draw back in. And as you inhale, filling the lungs, noticing that expansion of the rib cage, that lift of the chest. And the exhale, soften, draw down, draw in. So whilst we're focusing on that movement at the ribs, and there is that slight lifting of the chest that you might feel, just making sure that the collarbones and the shoulders stay heavy, so we're not exaggerating that movement. It's still just the movement that is created by breathing in a particular way, not adding anything extra on. You're going to take 3 more rounds of breath in that way with that focus. And after you've finished that third out breath, your next inhale will take the arms all the way out to the ceiling once again. Little pause there. Slight sense of grounding down to the feet, of drawing up further through the arms, through the tips of the fingers, shoulders. Can be wherever feels comfortable or wherever feels useful for you. And a light engagement through the front of the body. Perhaps also a light engagement of the back of the legs, of the glutes. Feeling grounded through the heels. And when you're ready, with an exhale, it's going to start your transition into a forward fold. Bending the knees, relaxing the body over and taking some time here. Perhaps it's quite ragdoll for the first forward fold of the practice. Do you want to add any swaying, any moving of the spine, any shifting of the legs? Make sure the jaw is relaxed. If you're moving, start to find a bit of stillness. And come back to that breath where you're breathing in through the nose and breathing out to ground and to root down. And if it feels good to keep sending that out breath all the way through the body and down to the soles of the feet, then great, stay with that. Well, now that we're kind of upside down, now that we're inverted, maybe that in-breath comes in through the nose and the out-breath almost pours out through the crown of the head. Allowing that weight at the head of the skull and of that breath to provide some calm, some anchoring, some weight. When you're ready, you're going to make your way down to lie on your back. So maybe just kind of curtsying one foot behind you and gently rolling yourself all the way back. Once you do find the floor, once you get down to your back, making sure the knees are bent, the feet are planted, and just taking a couple of little tilts and tucks of the pelvic. So as you breathe in, tailbone, lightly pressing back into the mat, creating a bit more space at the low back. And the out breath, gently drawing the tailbone underneath, flattening, just lightly pressing the lumbar spine into your mat. Next time you're in that tucked position, stay there, keep breathing, just check in with your effort levels. So we do want the abdominals to be working, we do want the low back to be fairly flat. Maybe there's a little squeeze of the glutes as well, but the collarbones, the shoulders relaxed, the jaw relaxed. So we're going to try and keep the abdominals drawing in, keep the low back flat. See if you can just lightly hover your feet away from the mat. 5, 4, I imagine that effort level will suddenly have increased quite a lot. 3, 2, and 1. Setting the feet down. Maybe land the back to arch, just completely letting go of all of that effort. And we're going to go again. I feel like I'm definitely still waking up this morning. So finding that tuck of the pelvis, that flattening, lengthening of the low back. Trying to lock that in. And then exploring the lift of the feet. And chances are the abdominals are going to want to release. So we're just trying to work a little bit harder to maintain that flattening, maintain that slight tuck of the tailbone. I don't know about you, but I am shaking. Last 3, 2, and 1. Release. But that's quite enough of that. Take a little full body stretch. And when you're ready, you're going to rock yourself up or bring yourself up to an all fours position. Jen, how's the pace working for you? Is it all right? Cool. All right. Find that all fours position. Just turn the fingertips back towards the knees, towards the thighs, easing hips towards heels. Just opening up through the wrists, through the forearms. Flip the hands over, back to the hands, down to the mat, palms up toward the ceiling, pressing the floor away, and again, hips slightly back towards heels. And then sitting all the way back onto the heels, giving the hands a little shake out. A few figure of eights, then we're going to come back to your all fours position and into a few rounds of cat-cow. So, excuse me. As you move into that cat-cow, whenever you're ready, inhale to lift the sit bones, allow the back to arch. And the exhale to tuck the tailbone and round the spine towards the ceiling. Coming back to this idea of balance between the front and the back of the body. So in that cow pose, that in-breath, there's still a lengthening action through the abdominals, through the front of the body, and a slight engagement through the back of the body to draw the shoulders down away from the ears, keep the neck nice and long. And in that cat pose, tucking the tailbone under, there's a little squeeze. The glutes, the abdominals are pulling in, pushing the floor away to the arms to help round the back of the shoulders as well. As you keep moving through, just seeing if you can track that effort in the front of the body and notice, does it feel balanced all the way through the movement? So those transitions, just as valuable, just as important as the end shapes. So is that balance, is that effort maintained in the front of the back of the body? Does it kind of change and shift as you move? Or is it kind of off in the middle and just switching on when you find the kind of final shape? And when you're ready, coming back to a neutral spine, tucking the toes under, walk the hands forward and press the hips back to the heels. So you're using the hands to help find that slightly more active child's pose, opening up through the soles of the feet, active through the arms, through the shoulders, maybe gently shifting side to side if that's helpful. And then moving through a few rounds of baby waves, so that same cat-cow action. You're thinking about that cat shape, rounding the spine as you shift forwards, hips away from the heels, shoulders above the wrists, then lifting the sit bones, arching the back as you ripple hips towards heels. Just a couple of times. And then the next time, you're going to ripple all the way onto your belly. Again, think about that balance front to back of the body, grounding the spine to come forwards. And then as the hips start to move towards the mat, the glutes engage more, the abdominals engage more, the arms, the upper back works to help control that ripple all the way down. Nice. Take the arms, excuse me, take the arms underneath the shoulders, what should I say? Roll the shoulders back, little lift of the chest as you find your low grip. Not your locust, sorry, your low cobra. Elbows lightly hugging in, legs nice and long, back of the legs engaged. And as you release down, coming into Sphinx pose, so forearms to the mat, elbows underneath the shoulders. Again, legs are long, legs are active. As you breathe in, allowing the chest to reach forwards, the rib cage to open, and as you exhale, the chest draws in, the low ribs draw back into the body. The inhale, chest reaches forwards, ribcage opens slightly. As you exhale, chest draws in, ribcage closes. Keep that going. So we still want the abdominals to be working on the in-breath, but it's more of that kind of zipping in and up action. On the out-breath, it's a little bit more of a kind of drawing in and down, a bit more of a contraction. It might be happening already, that as you exhale, you feel the glutes squeezing also. If not, then perhaps you're adding to that just slightly, again, only subtle. As you breathe out, abdominal switch on, and just slightly trying to tuck the tailbone under, glutes engaging. Next time you take your out breath, pause in that position. 3, 2, 1. Take a breath in again. And this time, as you breathe out, you're going to peel all the way up into a 3/4 plank, the lower ribs drawing into the body, tailbone tucking under, knees stay on the floor. Keep trying to press around the spine towards the ceiling, so you're pushing the forearms into the mat, really pulling the lower ribs in, pulling the tummy button in, tucking the tailbone under, bum is squeezing for 3, 2, 1. Release, ripple back down onto your belly, plant the hands underneath the shoulders, pushing your way back either into a child's pose or a downward facing dog. Cool. Coming back to all fours when you're ready. Knees coming in to get that tripod position. So if you take a moment just to find a neutral spine, so thinking about that slight closing of the front of the body and a lengthening through the back of the spine. Tailbone reaching back, round the head reaching forwards, bit of power, bit of strength, stability in the arms and in the shoulders. You want to try and maintain that stability, maintain that length in the spine. Pick your right knee, shin, foot up just off the mat. Flex the foot, so pull the toes down towards the mat. And imagine there's a very low, very heavy box or weight on the mat behind you, and you want to slowly press that thing away from you. Keep the toes and the foot low to the floor for as long as you can. Keep the abdominals pulling in, keep the spine getting longer, and maybe the further back you take that right foot, the more you extend the right leg, the more you think of matching that by sending the crown of the head forwards. Once that leg is extended, take a breath in and use a slow, controlled out breath to bring the right leg back in underneath. Take a breath in there, and as you breathe out, start that push back. Take your time. You've got that effort in the front of the abdominal. Maybe feel effort if that foot is really flexed in the front of the ankle. There's some effort around the back of the shoulders. There's some effort around the back of that right leg. Pause with the right leg extended. And when you feel ready, start to reach your left arm forwards. We're still trying to maintain that long, flat, low back, that lengthened spine, engaging front and back of the body, but not tensing, not like 100%. Again, it might be way under the 50% mark. Slowly coming back to center. If you need to shake the wrist off or kind of have a little wiggle, then do that, because you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So this thing on the floor behind your imaginary box is really low to the floor. So if you're sending that foot straight up, you're going to miss it. So when you're ready, make sure you're starting from that place of stability, of length, and starting to gently press your very heavy thing, whatever it might be in your head, towards the back of the mat. And the more that that left leg presses back, maybe thinking of reaching the crown of the head forwards. Once the left leg reaches for the extension, taking one inhale and a slow, controlled exhale to return left leg to that hovered position. Taking a breath in there, and again, as you breathe out, that's going to start that push, that slow, controlled extension. Toes flexing low to the floor. And again, once that left leg reaches full extension, just taking a little pause there. Make sure the head isn't hanging down, the back of the neck stay nice and long. And then reaching right arm forwards. Again, thinking about balance, front and the back of the body. Maybe a balance of effort and of space, of length. Slowly bringing everything back in, and from there moving into a downward facing dog. Again, if you need a moment to shake the wrists off, do anything else, then excuse me, take that time. And of course, in your downward facing dog. First one of the practice, taking time to feel your way into it, feel what is maybe appropriate for you this morning. Maybe spending just a couple of breaths to think about what's happening in the front and the back of the body. But keeping the toes tucked under, you're going to slowly lower your knees to the mat. Lower your bum to your heels. And then pressing from the feet, round the spine as you roll forwards, rippling all the way down into your belly again. Controlling that movement. Once you get down into your belly, take the arms out in front of you to a V shape. Nice, really good. Arms out in front of you in a V shape. Shuffling back if you haven't got space. And then reaching right arm and left leg away and up. Just a couple of times while you're there, pull your right shoulder up to your ear and then down the back of the body. Maybe go up to your ear and down the back of the body, and then allow it to find a comfortable position. See if you can lift that right arm and the left leg a little bit higher for one more breath in. And as you breathe out, release. Switching sides. So left arm, right leg, reach away, lift up. And hopefully you can feel that right glute, right hamstring working. Make sure the abdominals are drawing in and up just lightly also. Then again, left shoulder up towards the ear, down the back of the body. Up towards the ear. I can feel my abdominals have switched off, so just check in, make sure they are still lightly engaged. Up and down and finding a comfortable position. Checking in front and back of the body, a little bit of extra lift, breath in. And as you breathe out, release. Plant the hands under the shoulders, press your hips to your heels, and keep your hands walking back behind you. So they tuck or they plant on the mat, fingertips pointing in towards you. Rolling the shoulders back, little bend of the elbows, squeeze them in. Lift the chest, puff the chest forwards, make sure the abdominals are still drawing in and up. Slight traction of the tailbone back towards the forearms. From here, moving into camel pose. So pushing the floor away, hands come to prayer, tuck your toes under. And again, think about that balance, front to back of the body. Shoulders are definitely rolling back, hips are definitely moving forward. I'm trying to create some length and space at the low back. Bringing the spine back to neutral, taking the arms up towards the ceiling. Shift onto your right leg and step your left foot towards the top of your mat, nice and steady. Nice and steady in a very wobbly way. Tucking the back toes. So you want to make sure that you feel you can firmly press into both feet. If you feel like it's kind of making you lean forwards or arch, then maybe reset the feet slightly. We want to try and keep the front of the body nice and closed. You can really push into 2 feet and rise straight up through the middle line and slowly back down again. And again, all the way up. Pushing firm into 2 legs, consistent bracing, consistent effort all the way through, all the way back down, good. One more time, you're gonna rise up. Pause at the top, and then you're gonna come to balance, bringing the right knee through to your chest. Have a moment to find that grounding down through the left heel and that drawing in at the front of the body. And then slowly stepping back to a long lunge, right toes to the back of the mat, right hand to the top of the mat. Dropping the back knee down, sweep the left arm all the way up and over towards the back of your mat, and then you're going to squeeze your flexed right foot, heel in towards your bum. Don't catch your foot with your hands. We're engaging nice and strong through that right hamstring, strong / crampy. Make sure the front of the body is slightly closed. 3, 2, 1, good. Plant the hand top of the mat. Step back, downward facing dog. Nice little moment in your down dog, or doing whatever you need to do to release any potential hamstring cramp. And then slowly, when you're ready, lowering the knees back down to your mat, keeping the toes tucked under as the heels find your bum. You're rebounding, rounding the spine to start with as you roll and ripple forwards all the way onto your belly. Awesome, really nice, Jenny, good. So from there, coming into a locust pose. So interlacing the hands behind you is one option, rolling the shoulders back, lifting chest, lifting thighs. Other options to release the hands, but keep that action of the shoulders rolling back, the shoulder blades retracting and the arms squeezing in. If you want to have hands or fingertips on the floor instead, you can. Thinking about lengthening, activating front and back of the body for 3, for 2, and for 1, releasing down, hands under the shoulders, press your hips back to your heels, keep walking the hands back behind you. Again, fingertips turned underneath you or towards your toes, bum on your heels as you roll the shoulders back. Lift the chest up and then try and drag the tailbone back, but still keeping a little bit of security, a bit of stability around the front of the body, so we're not just kind of blur into the low back, for lack of a better word. From here, moving into your camel pose, pushing the floor away as the hands come to prayer, hips away from the heels. Toes tucked under is an option, but not a necessity. Again, trying not to have this angle at the front of the hips. We want tailbone slightly tucked under. It's a little longer through the front of the hips. Really using the glutes, drawing up through the abdominals. It's a very active arc or arch. Releasing hands up towards the ceiling, shifting weight onto your left leg. Again, as slow as you can, stepping your right foot towards the top of your mat. Keep your eye line steady. And again, as you find that lunge, nice control. Pushing into both feet, so instinctively you want to try and find a place where both legs feel strong, where we're not sinking into the low back. And keeping the tailbone slightly long, front of the body closed. And seeing if you can rise straight up through the middle. And again, come straight down with control. And if it feels stressful on that back hip flexor, for example, or if you feel that you're really shifting forwards to lift, then try a slightly different positioning of the legs. Might make it easier, it might not. All the way up, all the way down, keeping that kind of consistent effort through the front and the back leg. One more time, rising up. And then coming to find your balance, left knee in towards the chest. Again, not sitting into the low back, front and back of the body, nice and long, nice and active. Before you take that long lunge back, left toe to the back of the mat, left hand to the front of the mat. We do want to make sure that when you find your lunge, your front right heel is on the floor, so you might have to shift slightly, but drop that back knee, right arm sweeps all the way up and back. And again, you're squeezing the left heel in towards your bum, pulling the toes down towards the mat, not touching hand to foot, and making sure that we're also not sinking into the front of the body, so drawing the abdominals in. Keep squeezing that heel in close to 3, 2, and 1. Releasing to your downward facing dog. Here, nice and slow. We're going to take a rolling vinyasa. So again, thinking about that effort in the front and the back of the body. As you lift your heels, tuck your chin to your chest. Start by trying to tuck the tailbone under. Pulling the tummy in as you round the spine, rolling forward, vertebrae by vertebrae, through that high plank position, keeping the arms fairly straight as the hips move down. The chest lifts up. We're really pushing strong down through the arms, retracting the shoulders. A breath in to that up dog, and then seeing if you can ripple your way all the way back to your downward facing dog. Awesome. Once you find that down dog, lift your right leg, step it towards the top of the mat, rising up into a high lunge just for a moment, and then turning 90 degrees to your left to find goddess pose. And just trying to make sure we're just going to hold at the bottom with a pull down in the arms. So you've got some effort in the upper body, and making sure that we're not letting the bum sway back behind us. So if you need to reset, tailbone down, low ribs stay in the body. There's the knees bend, they're squeezing back behind you. Taking a few breaths there, trying to maintain that effort, keeping the low back stable. And then staying low in the legs as you come to the ball of the back foot, turning the top of your mat, finding your high lunge, resetting the feet, the legs if needed. Let's keep the arms alongside the ears. Keep the arms reaching forward as you come into your warrior 3. The arms reaching forwards, left leg reaching back. Back of the body active, but front of the body drawing in also. So we're not sitting in too much of an arch at the low back. Just one steady pulse on that standing legs as the knee bends, right knee bends, let the weight shift slightly back into the heel, activating right hamstring and glute, and slowly pushing that leg to straight. Step the left foot to the top of the mat, bring the hands to prayer, take your feet about mat width apart and take it down into your malasana, your wide squat. Keeping the hands in prayer, take a breath in at the bottom. And as you breathe out, push the palms together, lift the hips, forward fold. And again, the in-breath brings the tailbone down between the heels, crown of the head rises. And the out-breath lifts the abdominals, lifts the hips, head towards the floor. One more time, inhale to squat. Exhale to fold. Plant the hands, step back, downward facing dog. Rolling vinyasa is your option if you want to take a regular vinyasa or a breather. Of
course, feel free to do so. If you're taking that raise, that roll, lift the heels, look towards your tummy button. Really feel the glutes engage and the tummy muscles pull in as you roll through the spine. Again, glutes and abdominals and upper back nice and strong as you find that upward facing dog. A breath in there. And as you breathe out, chin to the chest, push the floor away. Bring the low ribs draw into the body, the glutes squeeze as you try and roll your way back to the down dog. As you find it, left leg is going to lift, left leg towards the top of the mat, coming up into a high lunge. And turning 90 degrees to your right, once again to come into that goddess pose. Same thing, we're just going to pause with that pull down action in the arms, trying to neutralize the low back. So again, we're not letting the bum stick back behind us, tucking the tailbone down, working those external rotators, squeezing the knees back, drawing the abdominals in for 3, 2, stay low in the legs, 1 as you find your high lunge facing the top of the mat. So 2 knees bent, you're on the ball of the back foot. Keep the arms reaching long, shifting into your warrior 3. Again, back of the body is engaged, that right leg, back leg isn't too droopy, but front of the body working also, so we're not sinking into the low back. 1 slow pulse from that standing leg to the left knee bends, weight slightly shifting back into the heel, and then pushing left leg to straight. Stepping right foot to the top of the mat, hands find prayer. This time, bring the feet about a hip distance apart. Take the arms all the way up to the ceiling with the in-breath. And as you exhale, take a forward fold. Fingertips to the floor. Shift the weight into your right leg. Take a short step back with your left foot, so no more than halfway down your mat. Turn the heel in and down, shift the hips back. So you're into a pyramid pose or a hamstring stretch on that right leg. And if you want to move within that, if you want to have a little explore, a little noodle around that position, you can of course do that. Take the fingertips a little further back than where they were, because you're going to shift the weight onto your left leg, drag the right foot back, you're going to have to adjust the arms again. So you're taking that pyramid pose on the other leg, on the left side. Again, walk the hands slightly further back here, drag the left foot or step the left foot, sweep it towards the back of the mat. 2 feet about hip distance apart, and then from there, walking the hands forwards, find a downward facing dog. Keeping the arms and the shoulders nice and square, you're going to lift your right leg. Keep the hips fairly square as you bring right heel in towards your bum. And then instead of sinking into the low back, sinking into the shoulders, activate right glute. Roll that hip open. Keep both arms really strong. Keep the abdominals really firm. So we are just trying to open up that hip. Not collapsing or twisting or sinking through the left side of the body. Straighten out that right leg, slowly bring it down. Same thing on the left side. So 3-legged dog, split dog to begin. Nice and strong, nice and stable, nice and secure. Bringing left heel in towards the bum. Active through the left leg. Engage the left glute, squeeze the heel higher. Then open that hip, push stronger through the right arm. Keep the abdominals engaged, so we're not allowing ourselves to really twist or look under that left armpit. Straighten up the left leg. Bring the left foot down towards the floor. Look towards the top of your mat. You're either going to step or spring or shuffle your feet to the top of the mat. You're going to come to lie down. Okay. Once you get down to lie on your back, have a little moment. Maybe to hug the knees in or to take some full body stretch or a little kind of windscreen wipery knee. We're going to take a little back bend. So soles of the feet to the mat. I say a little back bend. If you'd like to substitute this for a stronger back bend, then of course please do. So if you want to go up for a full wheel or come onto your belly for a bow pose, catching the feet, you can. Or otherwise, planting the feet. So do whatever you want to do, Jen. If you are going something a little bit more gentle, coming with me, then the feet are planted. You're gently lifting the hips into the air and thinking about, again, a bit of balance front to back of the body. Even if you're in a stronger back bend, still thinking about that balance front to back of the body. Also, I quite like to think about creating more space through the sides of my waist. I find that quite helpful. I can definitely feel my glutes engaging. Maybe I need to concentrate a little bit more to make sure my abdominals are still drawing in and up. Think about your effort levels overall. Again, if that slider is up towards the kind of 80, 90, 100% effort mark, is it possible to dial it down ever so slightly? When you're ready, slowly releasing. Feet about mat width apart. Windscreen wiping the knees, right to left. Coming back to center. Making yourself comfortable, so whether that is keeping the knees bent or extending the leg or other, get yourself comfy lying on your back. And we're going to come back to this anchoring breath that we took at the very start of the practice. So drawing that inhale in through the nose. But as you exhale from your center, so imagining that from your belly button, that exhale is rooting you down, belly button through to the floor, through to the earth beneath you. And that in breath, bringing fresh energy in, the out breath, anchoring you from your center, through the navel, down through the mat, the floor, the earth beneath you. Connecting with your center. From your center, connecting with, anchoring to the earth's center. After that next anchoring, centering exhale, releasing your effort of the breath. Releasing as much effort as you can. As you move into that Shavasana.
Starting to focus on your inhale. The rising of the chest, maybe of the belly. That fresh breath, that fresh energy flowing through your body. And bringing with it a sense of space, of lightness, of brightness even. You begin to move the body once again. Oh, excuse me. I'm taking a stretch, a yawn. Gently making your way to a comfortable seat as and when and how feels good for you. Nice, taking any last little bits of movement when you find that seat. Before finding a moment of stillness, once again with the eyes closed, just find that still point. Have a moment of stillness, of calm. Be attentive to the sensations that you're experiencing. Be attentive to your whole experience in this moment. Before you move on with the rest of your day, have a lovely day, lovely trip, have a lovely weekend. See you later.
Thank you so much. At one point, I really wanted to unmute myself when you're like, you don't have to catch your foot. I was like, good, because it's like really quite far.